Hello everybody. So I'm just starting a bit early just to let everyone find us. Now we are in our new place, so I'm hoping that the signal will be a lot better here. So we shouldn't hopefully have any interruptions. The weather seems fairly calm tonight, so that will help as well. So we'll just hold on a minute, see if we can get some people joining us. And then we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to pop it up in the frame ready. Excuse me a moment. Make sure we're in the right place. Okay. So I'm just going to hold on for a moment. A cup of tea. Now I'm wondering how long it'll be before I put my paintbrush in my tea instead of the water. What does that taste really? Oh god, I put a sweetener in my tea because I was going to make a normal tea. And then I decided to have mint tea because my tummy's a bit funny. And now I have sweetener in my mint tea. That tastes quite strange. Okay, it looks like a couple of people are joining us. Do say hello if you're joining. It's nice to know who's here. So what I'm going to be working on today, Emma on our group requested a Halloween live because it's half term, and she said please can we have a Halloween make, and I managed to get everything done a lot quicker today than I thought. So here we go. So we're going to be working on a 3D piece. So here it's actually a tray that was in an old kit. I can't remember which one. Do have a couple left. It's the one that had lots of purples in. I can't for the life of me remember which it was. And I've had this for ages. My brother gave me. It's like an old photo frame. There's a really nice piece and it fits perfectly on here. So we're going to be building a composition up here, and something Emma asked for was texture, to see some texture techniques, so we're going to be working on that as well. So I've done a bit of prep off camera so you don't have to watch me doing lots of gessoing. So this was wood, and I've just given it a rough coat. Hi Gail. Giving it a rough coat in white gesso. Lots of kisses from Gail, thank you. That's all I've done so far. So we're going to start by adding some colour, and I'm going to use some ink sprays and Lindy's Magicals and our Fabrica Decor magic paints. So they're similar, like a watercolour style paint. And then I've picked up various sprays. I've got some Lindy's. I found a Distress ink spray. This is one of the Lindy squirts. I've got an oxide spray and an Imagination Crafts ink. Most of those you can find in the store. Perhaps not exactly the same colours, but you'll find most of them. So different properties. These are flat colours. These have shimmering. This is flat colour. These are two tones, so we're going to just get some colour on here. So we're going to start by doing that. So the magicals and the magic paint need water to activate them. So I'm going to pop a bit of water in here first. Now you need to be patient with this because if you add too much, so it's just a powder, so you just tap it out. You're gonna add too much wet at once. The colours are gonna all merge together and form one mucky colour. So it's important to take time to dry every so often. I'm gonna get some of these down first. The magicals I'm using is colour Cowabunga Copper. The magic paint I just used was Rose with Gold. Is this the same? This is Turquoise with Gold. Okay, I don't think we have that one in the store. I'm not going to use much of that because that doesn't go much with my colour scheme. Okay, So a bit more water. That's very blue. I may cover that a bit. I want to stick with a kind of autumn palette. We'll see what happens. So let's dry that a bit. I'm not going to fuss too much at this point. This is our base layer. And we don't need to bone dry it every time, just so that our colours aren't blending too much together. As say, you'll basically end up with brown if you mix too much, and you'll lose those different nice colours you've created. So let's get some ink spray. Oh, is this one a bit clogged? My ink sprays have been laid down, so they're a bit cloggy. Let's just do this instead. Or I've been moving about, everything's got a bit mucky and whatnot. I may actually, might be easier, I'll have to be careful not to knock anything over. Get a paintbrush. Let's give these all a shake, because I want to get the sides as well, so let's give them a shake. Distress, be very careful to shake side to side, not up and down. They will fly about everywhere if you do that, just to warn you. So do be careful. I need to shake these because they've got micas in them. This one. And also if you use a paintbrush, you can control more, so you're not going to send ink all over your living room or wherever you are. So let's get a paintbrush, take some of these lids off, and be very careful. Just try and leave the stoppers by the corresponding one. Let's just do a couple at a time. So I'm just dabbing a paintbrush in, excuse my hand being in the way, and dripping that on. I'm not going to do the outside, I think, because I'm going to do some stenciling there. I think, or shall I do colour and then stencil over the top? Yeah, let's do that actually. So I will do the outside. So, oh, nearly put it in my tea. There you go. I'm going to stop in a minute and dry, to remember to not merge all our colours together too much. If you wanted to get this dripping more, just use your water spray. Be careful when you're picking it up though, that you don't then let it run everywhere. Okay, we'll just dry inside a bit. We've got some nice autumny sort of colours going on. Looking pretty good. I'll pick this up in a minute so you can see. So I'm just literally dabbing on. No precision, no science to it. It doesn't have to be all covered, and it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Right, let's switch to some of the colours. No, that doesn't go in there. What's that one? Oh, thanks, Gail. Yeah, it's looking alright to start with, isn't it? So I'll put a bit of some magicals. Whoop, that was a lot of magicals. On my mat to do the sides. You can see that. So I'll just activate those with water. I'll just continue in this idea. It's just giving us a base, so we don't have to worry how it looks at this point. We're going to be adding layers, so it's just to get some colour down. Okay, let's put some up on here. And then we can blend this all together a bit better by using our water spray. So that's now allowing the colour to move around and cover it better. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good. A bit of this. Right, and I think that's gonna do for now. So let's dry that. Oh, I've missed a side there. Somehow I managed to miss an entire side. So let's colour that a bit. Okay, that'll do. Put that in there. So I'm not necessarily looking for a full coverage, so it doesn't matter. And you can use, we've got this on our mat here left, if you've got any bits that are bothering you, you would like to colour it more, use that excess. Or to get some stronger colour. Oh, hi Cleo. Yes, I am, thank you. You know what, I've made quite a lot since I've been here. Where we're living now is in town, so it's I don't drive, so I can get straight home. Pretty much I don't have to wait around for a bus, because we were living out in the middle of, you know, nowhere, so it was a nightmare. I was just tired all the time. So since I've been here already, I've been able to make quite a lot of stuff, and it's great. I feel like a new person. I actually like that bluey colour now. Just tint this one. Let's have a little bit of it. I won't need to put water on my mat because there's quite a lot of liquid there already. I'm just going to add a little bit of this to the sides. Just very gently. I don't want too much. I want to keep to my autumn colours. Yes, very. I feel like a new person. It's brilliant, and I've just been able to be more creative again, which I've missed. And it was very forced a lot before, and as you know, when you force yourself to create it, it usually doesn't work, does it? Right, so let's just stop and have a clean. So our mat is very mucky now. You could go ahead and get a piece of paper and start a nice background smushing onto that. As I'm doing a demo, I don't want to keep you all waiting too long, so I'm just going to wipe it off this time. But yeah, do use your excess colour to, you know, you've bought those inks or whatever, don't waste it. Right, let's get this dry, then we're going to do some stenciling. And some stamping actually I want to do. So we're thinking about texture. So one way we can create texture is with embossing. Hi Kelly. So we're going to do a bit of embossing. So some stamping with embossing powder and heat setting it. So that can be one texture. Then we're going to do some stenciling. So that's another texture using stencils with pastes. What's this say? She is. Hi Elaine. I don't know, I think your Facebook's doing something weird, or maybe it's mine. Just translated your message to she is. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And because we've used stuff with Mika in, so the magicals and the Lindy sprays and the magic paints, we've got a nice shimmer in there. Be careful when you're heating this, how you're holding it. so it should dry fairly quick. So the reason we use gesso is to prime the surface, and on wood that's really important when we're using water-based products, because wood is porous, so it's just going to soak in, so you're going to waste so much product if you don't use your gesso. So the gesso acts like a bit of a barrier. It's a semi-resist, so it will make your product sit on the surface rather than soaking in, and so you waste a lot less. But not just that, the colours will be more true. Oh, there's the whites. If you just leave it plain wood, things will go on, but you'll lose a lot of it, and the colours will look a lot duller. So it's always great to start with gesso. And gesso, not acrylic paint, is important again. One, acrylic's a lot more expensive than gesso, and two, acrylic's usually plastic based, so when you try to then add water based products, they're just going to run off. It'd be like plasticky, so if you try to put ink on plastic, it's not going to work. Right, let's have a quick slurp. Strange sweet minty. Right, I think it's still a bit damp, so if we're going to do embossing, it's important that it's dry, as our embossing powder is going to stick everywhere, not just to the bits we want it to. So do excuse me while I'm drying. What's everyone been up to then? Are we doing anything fun for Halloween? I took my niece and nephew pumpkin picking to a farm. It was really great, and we're actually going to go again with a friend tomorrow with her girls. Have you got any parties planned or anything like that? Doing fancy dress or anything fun? To show you in a second the cute picture we got of them. Right, that's feeling better. Okay, let me just grab the picture. Oh, let's hope I don't cover it in ink. Hold it like that. How cute is this? My niece and nephew pumpkin picking. I love it. It's on my bedside table now. We love them. Right, anyway, right, so it's dry now. So let's get some stamps. We're going to need first, I pulled out some Halloween stamps I had somewhere. Let's see. So these are mainly words, so I don't think they're going to be useful. We could do words like long words. Oh, we've got this skeleton, actually. He gonna be... He would work. And maybe this tape measure. So I think we'll go with this set. These are Graphic 45 sets. They are discontinued sets, so I don't know if you'll be able to get them anymore. We also got this perfume bottle I thought was quite kind of gothic. That would work. That's the Kaiser Craft one. So let's have a look. I'm just going to come a bit closer to my desk. I'm hurting my back. Right. So we need embossing ink, or just an ink that doesn't dry too quick, because you need the embossing powder to stick to it. And you also need something under you that's flexible to put back your excess powder. So we're going to move this a second. Right, so this is going to be for my powder. I've picked out some black glittery powder. This is a heated up one. You can use any embossing powder you like. Right, so let's try the skeleton. Yeah, he's gonna just fit. So this is our first form of texture. So you could add texture with embossing. So you want to get it nice and juicy and press firmly. We want as much of that ink on there as possible. Sorry, for the powder to stick to. Now I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work because the wood isn't smooth wood, so we'll see what happens. And I'm doing it onto this, it's a stencil packaging just to catch the powder. Looks like it's actually worked quite well. Yeah, that's actually worked really well. So there. Now at this point, if there's any areas that it's gone that you want to brush off, I actually don't mind that. This is now the time to do it. So once you heat set, that's not going to come off because it has plastic in it, so it's like melting plastic. So let's actually move the pot, because we're going to turn the whole pot to plastic. And you're looking, so it's a matte kind of gritty texture to start with, and you're looking for it to turn glossy. That's when you know it's heated enough. So I don't know if you'll see this on camera. Bit harder to tell in darker colours, but you just watch it carefully. You'll see it turns from a matte to shiny, and I really actually like how that's come out. It's pretty cool. So there we go. Let's try the other side. I'm just going to pour this powder back in. I'm not going to fuss too much because we're going to do it again. Where did I put the skeleton? Here. You can use a stamp block if easier. I like when working on my mixed media not to use a stamp block, because I like sometimes that it doesn't turn out perfect. And also if you're working on an uneven surface, it's quite hard to apply enough pressure to get that stamp down properly, I find, personally. That's just my personal choice. Okay, not quite as good as the first one, but still okay. I don't think I inked this hat properly, so we'll tip that back again. The lid back on. Do put the lid back on, because the amount of times I've knocked them over again after. And put your lid back on your ink. You need to keep that nice and juicy. I'm not going to do the other stamp. I think that's actually enough there. How did this go up there? There we go. So I'll cover that back up. Put that out the way. Whoops. Oh, there's 3 of them everywhere. That's okay, I'll worry about them later. Let's just wipe this off here. And we'll set this one. And be careful, again, with your heat gun, how you're holding it. Don't get your hands too close. And we're going to do a bit of stenciling, then we're going to start building our composition, because this is a tray. It's a 3D kind of tray, if you like. It's not flat. So I thought it'd be great to use, there's a word that I couldn't think of. I was thinking vignette. No, it's not vignette. It's not really a shadow box, but I couldn't think what the word was. I'm sure someone will help me out here. That's why I've just called it a 3D Halloween project, because I couldn't think of the word. But yeah, we're going to use this like you do with a reverse canvas. We're going to use this to build up inside. Okay, so that's one way you can add texture, but this is still quite a flat texture. So let's have something a bit more 3D. So I've got some stencils somewhere over here. Move that out of the way. Like stencil. Right. got the ones I designed with Hobbylicious. Whoops, and there go those stamps again. Maybe we could have the little bats. Let's try that. Now this will be awkward because you're going to apply it to something that isn't going to stand up, so you're going to have to be careful. We need a palette knife, and here I've got some modelling paste. This is Prima one. We have other ones in the shop. Oh, this one's not open actually. Let's not use that one. Get some other one. I'm trying to use up lots of pots that I have. Let's see what we've got up here. Texture paste. Okay, so I'll use our fabric texture paste. So texture paste, modelling paste, whatever you see it called. So this one actually has become one of my favourites, this Fabrica one. It really is nice and gives a really good stencil. So you could tape this if you wanted to. It's a bit awkward, so I want to try and get it as flat as we can, and being careful when we take it away. That's not too bad at all. And let's do one this side. We'll go here. Whoops, sorry. I think I just smudged the stencil that I did on the other side. Oh, look at my bat. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Stupidly went to put it down on the mat and then realised, oh, I just stenciled that bit. Never mind. Right, let's wipe that. So it's important to clean your stencils, and not so much this will pick off here, but clean your stencils. If it's a particularly delicate one, I would just get it straight in some soapy water. I just use washing up liquid is fine. When I'm demoing, I usually just use a baby wipe and then I give them a proper clean later. So just in a really nice hot bowl of soapy water, I'll clean them up. Okay. Put that there. Right, we're going to dry that. Oh, there's a smudge back. And something to bear in mind with paste, this is white paste, so it's pigmented. If you wanted to mix colour into that, you could, but just remember it's white, so it's going to lighten any colour that you add. It will become kind of a pastel-y colour. If you're wanting a true colour of whatever you're adding, say paint, anything at all, then you are probably best to use a gel, so something like a 3D gel, which will still give you the dimension, but it's clear, so it'll keep the colour of what you're adding to it. So these are all things to think about. Just get that bit off there. So yeah, I like this paste. It really is quite dimensional. I'll show you in a moment when it's dry. So it's pretty, you can see, gives pretty good dimension. Right, so I'm just checking that's dry. I just gently tap it. This one's a bit wet. And then I'm thinking I might actually keep those white, and we'll just see at the end how we feel about it. Right, so we've got some interest on the sides, a bit of texture, some colour. So now we need to start building our composition. So first of all, what I've grabbed is some tags, and I've got this little piece of MDF. So I'm just going to build a little piece like this, and I thought on this one, which is going to be the top, I'll do a bit of stenciling on here. Not much point on there because you're not going to see a lot of it. We could add a bit of stamping maybe onto the white tag. Let's see how it's going to look. Yeah, we could add a bit of something here. Let's have a look. I've got this stamp, I could use this kind of outside bit. Best to use permanent ink if you're using other wet mediums. I'm not the best stamper in the world, as you'll see. I'm not looking for anything amazing because I just want something to show around the edge. So I'm not bothering to be, I'm purposely doing it messy. Maybe a bit on this one. Whoops. There we go. So it's just a bit of something. Right. Put that away. Right, so a bit of stenciling on here. So let's choose something. What should we have? We'll have this creepy eye. This is on the poison stencil, and that's the same one with the bats that we used a minute ago. So put those to one side. So let's have, don't know how much of this we'll see later on. Whoops, that's the wrong way around. But you'll see some of it, so it's just a little something extra. You have to get used to in mixed media that you will cover a lot of what you do. You know, it's all in layers, and unless you plan out every step, you know, you may decide later that you don't like something, or that something else has to come to the forefront. So it's just learning to accept that. If you really love something and you don't want to cover it, maybe pull that out and use it for something else. So there's the eye. That looks cool, doesn't it? Okay. So again, I'm just going to wipe my stencil quick. These stencils, Hobbylicious designed for, made for us rather. They're very sturdy, I have to say. That eye is quite, you know, there's some little bits in there, but it's not moving at all. This has very fine bits in, so do be careful with that. It's just sort of using your common sense, I suppose. Right, so let's just dry that. We could even, whoops, sorry, before it dries, let's sprinkle some of this on it. It's the embossing powder I used before. Good. Right, heat tool. Right, we're going to start building now. So thank you for bearing with me. I want to do all these little bits. It's quite hot. I'm going to get my... Ow. Just gonna get my scissors and stab myself in the leg with them. Don't do that. Don't know, I've never tried putting an embossing powder in modelling paste, so I'm not sure if it's gonna turn or if it'll just stay at its grainy kind of. Thank you if you're still watching. we will crack on now and build our composition. I wanted to leave this plain, this piece of MDF, so it goes with our colours. You could paint that, do the same style we did on the background if you liked, with gesso and then inks, whatever you like. I just thought this went quite well. I think it's just going to stay grainy, that's okay. It's giving a bit more texture. Right, so this is going to be our first layer. So we're going to have this in here, this, and our eye here. So we need to stick that down. I'm going to use 3D gel. This one is Prima's I've got, or we've got Fabric Decor. Both are very good adhesives. I'm using that rather than glue. I know I'm only sticking paper, but because I'm sticking to wood and it has an uneven surface, I'm using something that I can be confident that it's going to stay there. Because it's a base layer as well, it's really important that that does stick, otherwise our whole work is going to fall off, and we're sticking heavier things on top of that little piece of MDF, so we want to be confident that that's going to stay there. Okay, and a bit more onto the MDF as it is heavier. Okay, and that's going to go there. Okay, so that's our base layer in. So you can see we've got a little bit of dimension there already. Right, now, where have I put the actual frame? Phew, nearly lost that. So this is going to sit over here. Right, so it's good to bring bits in every now and then and see how it's sitting. Right, so the next thing that I've got, my lovely friend gave me these bottles a while back, and I thought, oh, this would be great for Halloween. So these are going to go in here. Okay, so now we can see straight away that we're going to cover a lot of that. So I'm going to, the other good thing about gel is you have a bit of wiggle time. So we can move that up a bit more, so we're not covering it all. We'll put the shorter one there. Might even turn it upside down. There we go, that's better. These are going to sit in here. This will sit over the top. Okay, so now, so you could put something in these bottles. You could paint the bottles, you could gesso them first and add some colour. I think I'm going to leave mine plain. Ooh, very weird, mint tea and sweetener. Don't advise it. I've got some mini art stones here. I should have got a little funnel. What I'll do is just dunk them in. I want to go just a bit. They're going to lie down. We're going to cover a lot, so I'm not going to go nuts with them. Has anyone got any questions at the moment? So you could use beads, anything texture, something pretty. You could put some bigger gems in there, some glass, glitter. I think that's this one. So just texture again, adding something a bit of interest. Okay, so they're going to sit there. So again, these are a funny shape and they're not particularly heavy, but they're quite long, so we want to make sure they stick. So we're going to use the 3D gel again. Whoop, whoop, come back. And on. And it does dry clear, so don't worry about that. I mean, don't put tons and tons on, as it will stay kind of white in places. That should do, I think. So I'm gonna put it down that way. Nice. Another long one. Something like that. And we're going on top of the board now, so you might need it a bit thicker to balance it out. The short one, so at the bottom we're going to need it a bit thicker so that it raises it up to the height of the MDF piece. Oh, you tit. The lid just came off. Well, now I have some hoovering to do later. It did all go on my trunk though, not on the floor, so that's lucky. What a mess. You could glue the lids in place, would be probably sensible also, so that doesn't happen. I'm glad I didn't swear then and remembered I was on camera. Okay, that looks pretty secure. Okay, so we won't worry about how the glue looks. That's gonna dry clear later on. Okay, so that's starting to look like a composition now. Those things have got everywhere. Never mind. Right, so we can see that through there. That looks good. I may add a little bit of metallic paint onto the glass after. Let's see how it looks. So next we're going to add, this is my little character I've got. He's a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera. He's gonna actually, I decided he's gonna sit on top there. And then the chipboard, the light board, sorry, pack that Hobbylicious designed for us for Halloween again. So it's just called Halloween light board set. You can find it on thompsoncraftsupplies.com. From that I pulled this bat. This is the back. It doesn't come black. I painted it black gesso. That's gonna sit on top of there, so the skeleton is going to pop out from there like he's in the frame. So let's go ahead, we need to secure this first. Now this is sitting higher than I thought it would. Oh, that's better. That's it. There we go. So we're going to need quite a bit of gel. You may wish to use a glue gun, but I'm not a believer in glue guns. I just don't feel they're reliable. I feel like it's going to come off again. And we will have to let this sit overnight to dry properly. So we're going to plug, we've got a gap here. You can see, it's hard to show on camera. There, where this is sitting, we need to make sure that that's filled. And that is quite a big bit of gel, so you will need to just let this sit and be patient while it dries properly. So I'm kind of using it like polyfiller, if you like. Okay. So get that. Okay, and once that dries, that should hopefully be in place. Right, so we'll imagine that's going to dry, all right, and we'll check it tomorrow and see how it's doing. So that's secured, we hope. Now let's build. So we're going to have him here with the bat on top. So bit gel on the back. I want him to look like he's in the frame, so a bit higher up. And then our bat on the top. I'm just using the same 3D gel for everything. I just don't like to have more than I need on my desk. I have a lot of other things on my desk when I'm doing things like this. So if I can pick one adhesive that's going to work for everything, then I would do. The only thing I don't really use 3D gel with would be delicate papers like tissue papers, decoupage papers, or if you've got flimsier papers, because they're it's a very thick gel and it's very sticky, so you probably find that you'll start kind of tearing things, and that's not ideal. So I'm just trying to pick out some of this excess glue here with a paintbrush. It will dry clear, but I want to get rid of as much as I can because this is a gloss one. So if you use a matte one, that'd be better. Okay, so we could sprinkle all these little art stones that I threw over there. We could use some of that in the gel as well to cover that up. And then we could add some colour to that. Now, I would normally pick that up and tap that off, but as our frame isn't set on there yet, I'll just blow them off with a heat gun. Okay. So there's a bit more texture. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. You're covering up that excess gel that's kind of squirted out, but we're adding extra texture. Okay, we're getting closer to finishing. So I also took some molded pieces. I used the Prima modeling material. It's very light, easy to use on your hands. You don't get like cramps and stuff. And this is the Stars and Moon mold from Prima, you can find on our website. So we're going to use these to embellish. Now I did have a little play, but that's not sitting the same now, so it's going to go there. We had this over here and this one here, so we're going to stick those on with the same gel. But before I do, I'm going to add some wax because my frame isn't very secure at the moment. It's going to be better to do that off the piece than risk moving that. So I've got a couple of Prima waxes here. Just going to use my finger to warm that up a bit. It's quite chilly. And just rub that over these pieces. These are, I know Finneber describes them as the cousins of furniture waxes. So the more you kind of buff them, the shinier they will get. So that colour is... oh, where did I put the lid? Oh, there it is. That's called Lucky Emerald. I don't think we have those in. I've got the new Finneber waxes in, which are the brighter colours, but I've not got many of the older ones. If there is anything in store you're like, oh, I wish they had that one or something else, do contact me. I'm always willing to consider getting something in if I think it'll sell, or I can order in a small enough quantity for you. I'm always willing to consider that. So there's that. Then I'm going to add some of the aged brass as well. Whoops, that was probably a little bit heavy there. I forgot it's a newer wax. So. Let's put some of the green back on. The newer the wax is, they'll move easier about, so don't be too heavy-handed. You only need a little bit. And I like doing this with blacks, where like ones like this, the black still shows at the bottom, so it looks really cool. Okay, so that's that. So for a textured look, it's not just about adding texture as such, like stenciling, beads, etc. For me, it's also about the actual things we're using. So using things that have different dimensions and heights will help create a look that is textured in its essence, if that makes sense. So we're not just using something that is all the same height or all the same shape. Does that make sense? So we're thinking how it's all going to look together. So we use very flat papers at the bottom and here, and then but we've added some texture in these around these. This frame has bits that go in and out. The embellishments are thicker, so it creates lots of interest. You don't want to get too random. You've got to make sure that your piece still has a focus. So here our focus would be the skeleton, so we're not trying to take away from him. We want people to be drawn to him, but we're making sure we've got lots of interesting things going on. That doesn't necessarily have to be the way. That's my style. I'm quite a busy style. That's not going to be everyone's taste. A lot of people like a more less is more approach, which I love, but I'm not very good at, so it's not my approach. Okay, and the final thing I had was some die cuts, some leaves. I'm going to pop them into under here, and I've already got gel there actually, so I don't need to add any on. So whether it be a 3D piece like this or a scrapbook page, and so forth, a card, whatever, I tend to try to think not to glue everything right to the edge, because you may think, oh, that's missing something, and you want to tuck something under, and then it's too late now, everything's covered. Which is another reason I don't use glue guns, because you can't really kind of take that off. With gel, if I really needed to, I could still lift that off. It's going to be wet for a long time. Okay, so I think our main kind of composition is done. I'm going to take Prima Metallique paint just to add some interest into places. So I'm going to go onto these beads carefully because they're not dry yet. And what I can do is use my water spray to move that around. Just carefully dab in a little bit here and there. And then a light spritz. I don't want to get it soaking because it's still drying. Just to move that a little bit. And I'll go on to the back a bit. Okay, and we'll give that a quick blast. think the skeleton needs something under his head. He's a bit droopy. That'll do for now. I think we'll have a little bit on the leaves just to tie it in with the rest of the piece. Okay, and I think this has got like wet or something. It's not as shiny as normal. I think the clay was a bit funny on that one. I must have got it damp, kept it in a damp place. Okay, and I think we need, this looks a bit boring up here, so let's see what we can do with that. I've got some paste, which is a glitter paste, so this is another way we could add texture. So this is Bow Bunny Copper Glitter Paste. It's I don't like a lot of glitter glues. I don't think that they work very well. They don't stencil for sure, and I don't know, the finish is just not very nice on them. But oops, sorry, but I do like this stuff. It is a paste, it's very thick, you can stencil with it nicely. So I'm going to just use my palette knife to add just a few bits of that. I'm not going to go nuts, I don't want to make it too garish. That's added something in that corner. Okay. Maybe a tiny bit on the back. Just tiny. I don't want to make this fantabulous, if you know what I mean. It's a Halloween piece with a really ghouly skeleton, so I don't want it to be all shiny and fabulous. So that'll do for that. So that's another bit of texture, so you can think about different pastes, glitters, beads. There's lots of different things that you can use, and quite cheap things to add texture. I've got some up here somewhere, some stickers, some Halloween quotes or chipboards. I like to have kind of title on things. If I can find where I've put them. I buried them somewhere. I am in a much smaller craft space here. That's the only problem. So trying to have everything out, here we go, is quite awkward sometimes. So these were Tim Holtz Halloween stickers. What can we have? Ooh, Watching and Waiting could be good because he's got a little monocle. I don't know if you could see that. Gathering of Ominous Forces. I quite like that. Oh, A Much Misunderstood Gentleman. Oh, that could be good, couldn't it? Because he looks like a bit of a gent, doesn't he? What was the other one I saw? There we go. I think we have to have that one. A Much Misunderstood Gentleman. That sounds good, doesn't it? Now, is it going to sit here? Yeah, and because I'm sticking on top of paint, I'm going to use a bit of gel because stickers aren't that sticky anyway, despite them being called stickers. Because that glue will dry out eventually, and then it's on a kind of paint, so it will peel off. So I like to just pop a bit of gel on them. Okay, that looks good. That's also drawing our eye to the gent now. And I think we're pretty much done. So it's a good idea with kind of 3D things to stand up and have a look every so often and see what you think. So I'm going to carefully, as I'm sat down, I can't really do that. I'm going to tip it up and have a look. And everywhere I look, there's something. So we've got the tags and bits poking through. Yeah, I think that's nice. I might just add a bit of wax onto the frame itself, and I think we're done. So I'll take this coppery sort of one again. Being careful because this isn't dry yet, remember. Oops, there's a big blob of wax came from somewhere. So get that out with my paintbrush. That's better. I didn't like how that looked. That looks good. Yeah, I think we are there. Oops, I've moved my sticker. Just clean my hand. And what do we think? Yeah, I think we're done. So I hope you like that. If you do have any questions, let me know. I'll carefully pick this up to show you. So we can see all the little layers poking through. There's our tags with the stamping on. We've got that little piece of MDF, which is actually nicely poking through that hole here between the moon and the skeleton. So that's worked out quite well. We can see our bottles in the background there and the beads inside them. We've got little leaves poking out here. Yeah, it's worked quite well. Being careful again on the sides, we did our little skeletons, and on these sides we had our stenciled bats. I may go back onto the sides and do something more at some point, but I think that's done. So I hope that's given you some ideas for texture and also working in 3D. I think 3D is really fun and it challenges you. So you have to try and imagine how the layers are going to look together, if that makes sense. So you have a little bit of planning, and especially when you're using something like a frame, you need to imagine how it's going to work so that you see those elements through the frame. So it's a challenge, but a good challenge, and I enjoy things like this. I'm really enjoying working in something with a bit of depth. If you saw it, the retreat project we did a reverse canvas. That's a project you could try. A shadow box, something along those lines, and especially when it's a smaller piece like this, it's a really good way to challenge yourself. So have a go, and if you do, let us see what you make. So thank you for watching. It's nice to be back, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.